All right, Alexis, do you think we're ready to get going?
Yeah, we can go ahead and get started. I'm Alexis Kongmani, Growth Marketing Manager at For Impact Data. I'll be helping Elizabeth moderate this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat or raise your hand, and we'll be also prompting some interactive questions as well. So if you want to give us a thumbs up, a heart, or raise your hand, we'd really appreciate it. We'll send you an email afterwards as a recap with our link to where the webinar will be hosted, the recording, and the link to our LinkedIn if you want to connect with us, as well as upcoming events.
Yeah, and I'm Elizabeth Davis. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at For Impact Data. I'm a recovering accountant. I've been serving accounting and finance folks with software for about 15 years now, post my accounting career. We'll be walking you through rewiring CAS for scalable growth today. Right. So full technology disclosure, this is sponsored by For Impact Data. It's unique content. We will be referencing For Impact Data as a technology, but it's conceptual. No demo or product pitches, just how it can be used through this process. And everything we'll be talking about today can be universally used regardless of where you are in your CAS practice. It's conceptual. We're here to support you through your growth, whether you're starting out in CAS or you're more mature. All right. So the overall themes we're going to be talking about is why CAS feels so maxed out. Talk to firms every day. You know, expectations are constantly shifting. There's more pressure than ever to grow as the transactional work is being taken over by AI, outsourcing, agentic, all of these sorts of things. Business owners want a proactive. So business owners want more proactive insights, not backward-looking bookkeeping. And the person who's trusted most to provide that information is you guys, the accounting firms, the trusted advisors. And along those lines, staffing constraints are a big challenge. I know plenty of firms have felt the squeeze lately, firms I've been working with where their top talent has been snatched by other firms or acquisitions are happening. We want to make sure that we're keeping our staff fulfilled. Fewer people are entering the accounting industry as well, fewer young people. And AI is accelerating what both clients expect from us and then also what they're able to do self-service. The results are that they weren't designed for our old practices, were not designed for the current environment in which we're working in. So we have to make sure that we're growing, changing to meet the challenges of today. So a scalable CAS model has predictable scope and pricing. I hear time and time again from firms that they have scope creep, and a lot of that's because clear boundaries have not been set out with their clients. Change orders are a pain. And clients also want to have, they want to have consistency in their billing, and you as the firms want to have consistency in your revenue streams. So moving to those fee-based, flat fee-based pricing as opposed to time and billing is more important now than ever. Proactive client cadences are really important. I was talking to a firm this morning, and he was saying there's only a small percentage of his clients who will schedule the time. So we have to make sure that we're adding enough value to those business owners that we're being a more strategic guide as opposed to just a firefighter. It's not a last minute, oh, you didn't tell me I was going to run out of cash. So more important than ever to have those proactive conversations and be proactive about scheduling our next calls. And then also standardizing workflows and technology. So repeatable processes. I've talked to at least a half a dozen firms in the last 2 weeks that are in the process of standardizing their tech stacks as much as possible between a few different technologies in each category to make it easier for their staff when they're onboarding new clients, easier adoption, and much simpler to work across their client base. And CAS grows when it becomes repeatable, not hectic and chaotic. And a lot of the old models, people didn't want to take on more clients because it was so burdensome. But as we standardize the tech stack, we get more technology, move away from the transactional work and more to the trusted advisor, it becomes more fun. All right. So I think this brings us to our first poll right now, just for where you are and your firm. Are you an emerging CAS practice? Alexis, if you can put that poll up. Are you scaling, where you're growing with discipline? Or are you leading, where you're really leaning into optimizing with leverage? You have repeatable, scalable growth. No wrong answers, just curious about where you are in your practice. Were we able to get that poll up? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, let's see. How do we get the results? And the results, I don't know if I can share the poll results. The results say that
I can publish them.
Yeah, it says that 50% are emerging, 36% are scaling, and 9% are leading. Nobody said not sure, so that's exciting. All right. So there's 7 pillars when it comes to CAS maturity, where we have strategy and alignment. We've defined our client mix and niche. We've outlined packaging and pricing. Have a delivery model, standardized tech stacks. Again, there's always outliers, right? We have talent enablement. So we have talented people who are working, and we have enablement to help them grow, institutionalized that knowledge. So it's not just a head count, but it's institutionalized, and we have a repeatable go-to-market process. I'm going to walk through this in more details. And again, we can send you some of our takeaways at the end if you would like them. Right. So the first pillar, again, is one that I see often is skipped, and that's a strategy and alignment at the firm level. So do we have a documented strategy and a clear vision for where we want to go? No shame if you guys don't have this. A lot of times, even when we're working with our business owners, they don't have a clear strategy for where they want to go either. And, we can't, we're not drinking our own Kool-Aid. So we want to make sure that we have a clear documented strategy. What is our vision for the firm? How are we going to get there? Do we have consistent KPIs and metrics that help drive those decisions? Whether it's we're trying to increase our revenue per client, the number of service lines per client. We just want to make sure that we have that clearly defined. What are the margins that we're looking to deliver on? Is it a 50% margin, 60%? Where in the margin mix are we looking to go? So we can understand the profitability standards that we're looking to deliver on our services. And then do we have leadership alignment? I have a session next month actually about this, about internal selling the value of CAS, not just bookkeeping. A lot of great firms have alignment, but I think there's even more where you have some partners who still haven't grasped the value of CAS. So we have to constantly sell internally. Our best referrals in the CAS department are going to come from our pre-existing clients. So without that alignment, CAS becomes a tug of war. I've seen it time and time again. We just want to make sure that we're letting our partners on the different teams know that their clients will be happiest and healthiest when they're getting their outsource accounting serviced within our teams and their advisory services. So the second pillar is client mix and niche focus. High performing teams, time and time again, when I'm looking with a one office, one city firm or a very large firm, the top 10, I hear across the board where we really give the most value is when we have specific industry knowledge, where we have a niche focus and we can do it repeatably. So high performing teams narrow their focus on specific ideal clients. It's important to understand we don't want to be serving clients who are actually going to be losing us money, our time. We have limited staff, limited resources, so we want to focus on the best fit. Many firms understand that, and there's some who still are having a hard time with that. They have a hard time saying no. So we don't want to be taking on anything that breathes. We want to be breathing life into our best clients. So we want to make sure that we have defined our ideal client profile, analyze the margins by segments, and say no to misaligned prospects. Great way to understand this is when we do a scoping meeting, make sure that we're charging for that. Best practice from Woodard and other firms like that is saying, making sure that we charge $1,500 minimum up to $8,000 based on revenue of the client to do that first assessment. If they're not willing to pay for the assessment, they're not going to value your services. So if they're not going to value you, everyone's going to be frustrated. And then making sure that we build out expertise in our specific niche. I was working with one firm, they had all of the roofing companies in, I think, the Mid-East. So looking to expand on that. So your existing clients are going to be the best place to look to grow your client accounting services. You'd be surprised how many firms don't know where their clients are focused. So quickly, I'm going to do a little plug for Impact Data. One of the things that we have built into our software is we can pull in all of your firm clients. If you have them on a QBO, NetSuite, Sage Intacct, Xero, and give you that client mix overview where you can see the industries and the revenue bands and help you decide what is your best fit clients versus maybe those clients that are below the $500,000 revenue a year, below $1 million revenue a year. Maybe we don't focus on those unless they're emerging. All right. And then so once we understand what good looks like for our client mix, where we want to have our focus, we can design packages and pricing that match up with that. So we can standardize those packages so it makes it much easier for our partners in tax or the other parts of the business to talk about what we're offering. It's also easier for your clients to understand, easier for you. Reduces the scope creep with clear service tiers. It also allows for faster onboarding, speed of onboarding your client, a better client experience if it's clearly outlined what they can expect, and then we're meeting those service levels. It also allows you to do upsell when their business is growing. You're partnering with them to help them grow and say, okay, now it's time for you to move to the next tier of service. So it's time for us to add some FP&A services and additional CFO services. You're preparing for a transaction 3 years out. This is what that looks like. This is how we align and move from a fixed fee to potentially value-based pricing where we can target 3% of their revenue. As they grow, we grow. And then crystal clear expectations, again, both from the advisor and the clients. They know what services are outlined, what the expectation delivery on both sides. I was just in the BDO CAS roundtable. One of the sessions was talking about, like, how do I get them to get me my bank statements on time? Nobody had an answer. So we can set clear expectations on that. I think it was Angela Rudolph Wiseman, shout out to her. She said, we've had to cut clients because they can't get us their documentation on time. It's a bad experience for our staff. It's a bad experience for them. At some point in time, there's nothing we can do about it. And it's time to say so long. So advisory becomes repeatable when expectations are crystal clear, and it provides for the best possible experience for everyone. This is one of the biggest.
Elizabeth,
yeah.
Pricing is such a sensitive topic. So what mistakes do you usually see firms making when they try to move away from hourly billing, and what can they do to help alleviate those pain points?
This is, I don't know who asked, but this is a really good question. We actually just talked about this. One of the ways we used to see when firms were moving away from time and billing to, which again, if you're using all the cool tools, your revenue is going to shrink because now you're spending less time on the transactional work, more time advising. I used to see recommended that you would line item out all the tech fees and all the individual fees for your clients. And the consensus across the board has been that's not the best way to go to market or, to service packages. The best way is to outline what's included, the recommended service package for where the client wants to go. So make sure you understand what is their desired end state and how you can align your services to help them get there. And then you give them their monthly fee based on that. And then if they don't want to, again, you're just letting them know, like, this is the outsource accounting cost for where you want to go. If you no longer want to get there, there's other things you can do, but it's gonna cost your business more otherwise. One of the things, again, in the roundtable I was in right before this, was talking about doing coaching before you have the conversation with your client. A lot of accountants are not comfortable having that conversation. So whether you have someone within your firm that is comfortable having a sales conversation, you can use ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, whatever, Gemini, and script in that your GPT to be your sales coach and practice the conversation to prep you. That can be really helpful. And then again, transcribe it. The sales coach, longtime sales coach, big fan of transcribing. You can put it back into GPT, learn from that conversation. If this is something you're going to do many times, you're going to want to get better every single time. Get some coaching on the conversation. If you don't have access to a sales coach, call me. I'm happy to do it. ChatGPT can help you improve on that. So I hope that answered your question. Long-winded, but that's 3 or 4 tips for you right there.
Yeah, those are great tips. Thank you.
My pleasure. And it just happened to come up right before this call. All right. So delivery models. We want to make sure that we have delivery model and capacity. You guys are all within the BDO community. You have a lot of BRNs that can help you if you have a client that needs a service that you don't provide, whether it's doing insurance reassessments, like I just heard about in my last session, or they have specialty tax provisioning they need that you don't provide. You can lean on other firms to help provide that as part of your package. We just want to make sure we can deliver consistently and that you have the capacity to do that. Again, technology will help with that. Best practice is to have a delivery pod. So you could have your CFO, your top level, your more experienced person, more of a controller, and then more of your technician. It could be an entry-level person who's helping overview the transactional work, adding value there, calling and setting up those client appointments. Make sure you clearly define the ownership of the roles and the accountability structure, both internally and externally. I like to use a mutually agreed upon action plan on delivery models just to make sure that we have ownership both internally and externally. So the client knows, like, hey, if you deliver these things late, then it slows down our process. This is going to be the result. So we have that clearly outlined. Set up consistent onboarding so it's repeatable through the client experience. It'll be best for your clients and for your team internally. And then make sure you're doing capacity planning as you're growing your CAS practice. Make sure you're upskilling your staff so they can step into those higher level roles. It'll be higher level of retention and client satisfaction and staff satisfaction. Again, these are just some of the pillars to make sure you're reclaiming hours, continue looking at different technologies so you move away from the transaction to more the value add trusted advisor business guidance role. Okay. Again, along those lines, best experience for, we don't want to disrupt the client experience, but we have to make sure that we're putting best in class technology in place for your staff. again, so we can add more of the advisory, less transactional time. So the goal is to standardize the tech stack to be smarter, more consistent, have workflows, not more apps. We want to make sure that we have workflows in place. So whether this is you have one or two GLs that you work with, QBO and Sage, for example, NetSuite and Xero, however it is that you've decided to segment that up, to make an easy decision tree, what you're going to offer your clients, whether you're using Ramp, Bill.com, Gusto for payroll, whatever it is, standardized tech stack is going to be best. Your clients will have the best experience because your staff will understand the abilities very easily as well. Automation wherever it makes sense, dashboards for efficient meetings whenever possible, AI prompt meeting prep. There's really cool technology out there. Jump is one of the best ones I've seen. It will help prep you for your meetings. Also do your recaps and your notes for you, and then it can even automate going back into your CRM. If you're not using a CRM, you're really missing out on sales potential growth opportunities there cross-functionally. That's a deeper dive topic for growth. And then make sure that you have predictive business guidance. Right over here to the right is a screen of the predictive guidance that For Impact Data offers up. So we monitor key KPIs, whether it's low risk, high risk. We give advice on what to do and action items of what we can do next. And again, it's very important to make sure that you're leveraging technology to the best, not all the technology, but where can you streamline and adopt? Usually, you want to have an early adopter person in your firm, top 20%, whatever that is. And then you can roll it out so that you're looking to add hours into your day every day. And then talent and enablement. We want to train for the conversation. This is, I think, another one of the biggest overlooked aspects, or it's one of the biggest challenges that can be hard to solve. AI can actually help a lot with this when it comes to coaching. So recommend, again, getting transcription software. A lot of firms will use a Fathom or a Jump that will transcribe their calls and get them back into the CRM. And then you can even use a GPT or internal, like I said, the Jump AI will tell you about missed opportunities in the conversation so you can help coach up your staff and then highlight those missed opportunities. We use Gong internally for our team. It's amazing what you can learn when you have those purpose-built analytics. You can build out your own AI. I work with another firm, small firm. He built his own AI agent. He'll get his calls transcribed and he drops it in and then has it bullet pointed out and tell him where he missed an opportunity so he can call his client back to expand on that advisory conversation. You guys are all part of the BDO network. There's a lot of soft skills sessions that you can have your staff attend to help with executive presence or doing presenting, those sorts of things to help them grow. A lot of networks they can participate in to grow their comfortability with having those high-level conversations with business owners. And provide a framework, provide meeting structures. If you provide the framework that lays out how to grow into the position, it's amazing what you can see your young people do and step into. Have the prep materials, data summaries, enable the value add discussion, and then you can focus that time on those advisor conversations. And again, then it comes back to the feedback loop. When you put emphasis, again, taking time away from the transactional work and really investing back into the value of the value add conversations, not just externally, but internally, it is amazing how much your talent will thrive and grow and flourish and then start bringing ideas to you. So 10 out of 10 recommends. All right, pillar 7, and that's going to be go to market and pipeline. So once we have all of our ideal customer profiles defined, we've segmented, we have repeatable messaging, and we will start to have predictable demand. Also on this, again, it's really important for us as CAS team members, CAS leaders, to make sure that we continue to sell the value internally as well as externally, so that we can make sure that we're getting proactive referrals from the other departments, but then we can also tell those stories to our existing clients about how we helped other businesses like them grow and the value of our CAS practice. Storytelling is the best way to get a message across. I think sometimes we forget that. We get stuck on numbers and ROI, but what's at the heart of business owners is a love for what they do, and stories are a way to share your love of helping grow small businesses. Okay. So we're going to do live maturity scoring exercise here. If you wouldn't mind, in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 5 of where you want to go, where would you put, don't overthink it, where are you now? 1 being, I'm not anywhere near where I want to be. 5 being, I'm exactly where I want to be. Get some participation in the chat there. Takers. If you don't want to just think internally where you are, would love to hear as well, what is one blocker that is keeping you from the level place that you want to go, whether you, if you're emerging and you want to get to scaling, what's one thing that is keeping you from getting there?
Okay, we've got some 3s. People are saying time and staffing, streamlining processes, staff retention.
Staff retention, that one's hard. I mean, I've just seen a lot of, like I said, scalping lately, where one firm will steal a top talent from another. It's tough. All right. And again, a lot of times just in doing the really hard work of investing, it's tough, right? Like investing back into your staff can help if you, and then they have a clear path forward. If you can say, hey, right now you're at a transactional level, we want to get you to more that controller level. After that, it's a CFO in the CAS space. You have to understand where they want to go, just like you do with the businesses you work with. Like, what's the end state you want to get to? I know with Gen, is it the Gen Z? Alexis, are you Gen Z? They want to get there very fast. And if you're a Gen Xer like me, you're like, what? But it's possible and we can help them. All right. Then again, like what could move you up 1 level? Is there an enabler that you feel would help you in a 90-day plan move? If you said you're a level 3, what is one enabler that could help move you to a level 4 in the next 90 days? Got me answers on that. Not sure, which is a totally acceptable answer. We've got some worksheets we can send you afterwards, Rita, maybe help you brainstorm ways to get to the next level. Okay. So we've got not sure, growing staff ability. Oh, shoot. Where did I go? I just accidentally skipped through. Okay. All right, from scores to strategies. All right, so again, we'll talk about emerging firms, which I think most of you said you felt like you were an emerging firm where you need structure. This aligns with most of the firms I speak with. They feel like that's where they are. They need structure, packages, onboarding, and clarity. really, this is the hardest part. I think it's very hard to have that clear vision of where we want to go. It takes both, it takes an operational lens as well as a very forward thinking lens. And it's hard to get those two to align so that the whole team can go there. Then we have scaling firms, which just need the discipline. So cadences, workflow standardization, getting those pods aligned. And then leading firms, not a whole lot that I talk to that have, I'll talk to maybe like one practice in a firm that might be leading, but I don't see a whole lot of leading firms, which are really leveraging AI automation, doing forecasting, they're doing margin, they have KPIs, they have their regular business cadence in place with their clients. So that's where we want to be. And we can take little steps to get there. All right. So how advisor ready data supports this scale? Again, we have to make sure that we make meetings as proactive as possible. That firms are, relying on business guidance systems. That's where, again, where for impact data can come in. One of the things that we hear is once you have the basics in place, we can cut down the time that it takes to do the prep for those business meetings so you can dig into the advisory, highlight risks, trends, and red flags automatically, and have prompted conversations about what you can do about it next to take on those bigger projects with your clients to move you from the transaction to the trusted advisor, to be the business guidance light at the end of the tunnel. This is, it takes tooling, and for impact data can help with that. But again, it's an educational process for all of us. So build out your 90-day plan, back on your scores, focus on one area that you can really achieve high guidance on. We have a CAS assessment. So you have each category where you are. We'll be sending that as a follow-up if you'd like. Again, define an owner. Who's going to take ownership of it? If it doesn't have a defined owner, you're not going to see progress. Make sure you know what good looks like. What's the why behind what we're doing? Why are we trying to change? Why are we trying to improve? And what are our 30, 60, and 90-day milestones? It's really hard to think about that right now. We're in November. December is right around the corner, and then busy season again. If we can boil it down, something I always tell my kids, I'm like, when you are feeling anxious and stressed, just do the next right thing. So if you, instead of thinking about all the things we have to do, what is one move that you can make that could improve your standardization, whether it's finalize one package, form one pod, schedule a proactive meeting. If you've never done that, I've got just an outline of what the agenda should look like. Happy to send that over. I've built that out with several advisory firms that are going to have their first proactive advisory conversation. So just commit to yourself to do one thing to move you in the direction of where you want to go in the next 30 days. And before you know it, you'll be where you want to be. All right. So here's some additional resources that we have that we can offer up. Just comment here if you would like us to send them to you. We have a CAS assessment scorecard. So it'll be each of the pillars. It has more detail about where you are, whether you're emerging or leading or scaling in each category with a lot more detail. We have a 90-day plan worksheet with a structured template for execution. I can send you this PDF deck, or if you want, I think we have like a 3,000 word document that is behind this, probably like a whole half-day session that we could put together that talks about how we can move from where we are to where we want to be.
Yes, we've got some people who would like the resources. Elizabeth, we have another poll as well.
Oh, yeah, let's put the other poll up. Sorry. Thank you, Alexis. This is why it's at least a 2-person show here.
So it's which action will you start in 30 days? What can you do?
So I asked you to think about it. Now I ask you to put in the poll. What's your action? Standardize a stack, launch monthly advisory cadence. Awesome. Fantastic. If you guys are going in again, and this is, I don't want to say something that might seem obvious, but if you're going in to have that conversation with your business owner the first time, it's really important that everybody aligns on what is the goal of the business. A lot of times the business owner doesn't know whether they want to be able to exit and have passive income, or if they're trying to buy and grow, if they're trying to sell, if they're going to pass it on to their kids. And again, if you have multiple business owners, you're probably going to get multiple answers. So I say that's probably the most important thing to align on in that first session. So then you can line up everything to back that up.
So most voted was launch a monthly advisory cadence for top 10 clients.
Awesome. Love that. Okay. Thank you so much. My ask for you guys, if you want to have a deeper dive conversation, please reach out and schedule that. We are running a special right now. It's not going to be for everyone. I don't have a slide for this, but if you are ready to take a look at For Impact data, I have some specials going for those who are ready now. If not, I'm happy to meet you 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whenever you're ready to have a conversation. So thank you very much. We've got another, like I said, we've got another session in December coming up on selling internally. And next week at the CAS Summit, I'm running a session on using AI to overcome imposter syndrome in CAS. So that should be exciting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.